All right, everybody, welcome once more to another webcast of Monica at Home. My real name is Alexandra, but I'm better known by my adult entertainment industry name, Monica Foster. You probably know me from my official website, www.monicaF.com, but if you really want to familiarize yourself with me, you can look at my past Monica at Home archives and find other info on me on www.monicaathome.com. Now, I have not done a Monica at Home webcast for quite some time, as many of you in the live chat room are saying, and that's because I am still officially on break from Monica at Home and Christian Pornstar. I'm still updating my adult entertainment industry news blog, Porn News Today, here and there, but I'm taking some time out to just get some other projects jump started that will be launched throughout this year of 2013. So I want to welcome everyone to the live chat room who's in there, and if you are watching this archive on YouTube, as I stated earlier, I'm going to be looking back and forth between the cameras because a lot of people might think I'm a weirdo not looking at them through this camera in the chat room. So now later on I am going to be opening up my Skype line, which is Monica at Home 01, because I have a very thought-provoking question today that I probably will receive a lot of flack for. I'm not trying to drum up hate or start a race war or anything like that, but it's a question that entered my mind the other day when I was tweeting. Now, if you don't follow me on Twitter, you really should. My Twitter address is twitter.com/Monica Foster, because there's a lot of interesting things that go through my mind that probably don't go through many of your mind, and I like to share what's on my mind. So let's go ahead first and get you all kind of caught up with what's going on in the world of adult entertainment, because when I started this Monica at Home webcast, that is what it was initially about, adult entertainment industry news and views. But being that there's no way that I could ever recommend that anybody go into the Los Angeles porn industry, I try to tell you guys the adult entertainment industry news from my perspective, because my goal is to get the word out on the truth of the adult entertainment industry as much as possible, because I really don't want any young woman out there to make the same choices that I've made. Part of the reason I started Christian Pornstar is because the only reason that I was able to get away from the Los Angeles porn industry was because I decided to open my heart and my soul to Jesus Christ. That's what gave me the strength. Actually, that's who gave me the strength and who changed my life in order to, make some changes for the better. Now, I still am a webcam model. That's something else I don't advise young women start a career doing, but I do think that webcamming, at least at this point in time, is a very viable option for people who might feel that they're trapped within specifically the Los Angeles porn industry and are looking for a way to get away from their agents or their pimps who want to regain control of their life. Webcamming solo, independently, in my opinion, is a viable option for you. But like I said, let's go ahead and get caught up on the adult entertainment industry news. Now, I guess the top story of this week will be, in my view, that there was a fire in the Vivid building in Los Angeles. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with what Vivid is the porn studio that, in my view, is responsible for attempting to mainstream porn. And I don't think that ever needed to happen. And I have a feeling that there's many porn professionals who, they might not admit it, but they'll agree with me, because when it comes to the mainstreaming of porn, there also comes government intervention and increased regulations, because everybody's looking at you. So anyway, Vivid is responsible for the whole sex tape concept. Like you got Kim Kardashian, she is mainstream, but let's face it, the only reason she's popular is because she had that sex tape with Ray J. Paris Hilton, Montana Fishburne, pretty much any celebrity who's had a sex tape, who put it out there, or who distributed it at least? Vivid. Sometimes Wicked too. I think Wicked was who did that Octomoms one. But anyway, there was a fire. I believe it was last night or this morning or something. I think it was Saturday at the Vivid building. And I find that very strange. You know, I'm sure we'll get to the truth of it, you know, as investigators do their thing. But what a lot of people don't realize, and I hope my knowledge is still current on this, I believe that one of the most prominent adult entertainment agencies, which is LA Direct Models, is also based in that building. And as of current, the person who is in charge of, or who at least is the face of LA Direct Models, a man by the name of Derek Hay, he's come under fire. Now, someone who I was led to believe is one of his best friends, maybe not now, he sent out a letter which was posted on one of my favorite adult entertainment industries news blogs, Adult FYI, stating that this guy Christian is, it is ironic, his name is Christian too, isn't it? But he's been tweeting affiliate links of different porn stars that he's, you know, knows or that he's worked with, or, you know, just anybody, and he's getting a piece of that affiliate money. Now, I suppose technically nothing's wrong with that, but, you know, let's face it, considering that this guy Christian has a very long history with this guy who runs LA Direct, it seems to me like he should know that he's stepping on some toes. Is it right? Is it wrong? Doesn't matter to me. But I find it interesting that, you know, suddenly there's this whole, you know, backlash against this guy Derek Hay, and then boom, in the same building where I believe his agency is based out of, all of a sudden there's a fire. You know, something to think about. Now, another thing I want to touch on today is it looks like now the last few broadcasts that I did, you know, several months ago, not several, but a few months ago, had to do with Measure B. And Measure B was a ballot measure that fortunately was passed that made condoms mandatory, with condom usage mandatory within the Los Angeles porn industry. Now, in my opinion, that definitely needed to happen because the STD rate is too high. It just is. And what a lot of people don't realize about porn stars is that quite often, not in every case, but quite often, they're more than just porn stars. They are also prostitutes to the general public. In fact, in my view, the Los Angeles porn industry is nothing more than a gateway to illegal prostitution and escorting, which is why if you're a young person out there watching me, don't do it. Just don't do it, okay? Trying to save your life here. But being that Measure B did pass and that now condoms are mandatory within Los Angeles filming, a lot of LA porn studios, they think they're slick, and they're like, okay, well, you know what we're going to do? We're just not going to film in LA. Well, fortunately, there's a Compton. Let me look him up. His name is Isidore Hall III. Isidore Hall III. He has decided to take matters into his own hands, which is excellent, and he has he's created something called I think it's going to be a ballot measure, AB 332. And this particular law will make mandatory condom usage within the within the California porn industry mandatory throughout the state of California. It's excellent. This needs to happen because, you know, a lot of people within the porn industry want to tout themselves nowadays as sex educators. One of the most prominent porn stars, in fact, a woman by the name of Jessica Drake, who is kind of the face of Wicked Pictures, I believe that she has some sort of little gig going on to where she does classes saying, I'm a sex educator, I'm going to teach you how to do this, and I'm even going to instruct you how to do anal sex. Okay, we'll talk about that another day. But, you know, I feel like if these people want to say, oh, we're sex educators, depict responsible, safe sex. Doesn't that make sense to you? Makes sense to me. So I think that mandatory condom usage, it won't just help to protect performers, and the general public, being that many of these performers are prostitutes. It will also, in my view, protect many youngsters out there who do come across adult material and they see people having sex, and being that they're going to most likely emulate what they see, you know, throwing condoms into that mix, I think that would be very, very helpful. So that's something else I wanted to touch on today. Do I even want to tackle this issue with kink.com? Well, I'm going to have to, because that's going to lead up to my controversial question I want to pose. Kink.com. I don't like kink. Not at all. The guy who runs Kink, he was just arrested for cocaine possession. Alleged cocaine possession. There's an article I posted on that, and all these things that I'm discussing, you can check out the articles on pornnewstoday.com. That's my adult entertainment industry news blog. He was arrested for alleged cocaine possession, and there was something going on with firearms in that armory. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with kink, kink is they're predominantly BDSM and all this S&M, bondage, whipping kind of, very, in my opinion, violent and degrading adult content. The guy who runs it, he kind of asked for what happened to him, because he's one of those studios that has decided, oh, we're big and bad, we're going to be mainstream. Well, like I said, when you're mainstream, everybody starts really scrutinizing you, and somebody decided to really look at him because supposedly, if I recall this article correctly, somebody called in with a tip saying, I guess they were watching one of the live video feeds or something, and they were saying that they saw a firearm, or maybe they had knowledge of that, who knows. So police went in to investigate, and they allegedly found him carrying some drugs on him. But it's also recently surfaced that Kink had a live show where they broadcasted a girl supposedly giving up her virginity on camera. And I'm not going to post the link to that or anything. I will tell you all, her name is Nikki Blue. And there's a lot of controversy around this because supposedly she was one of those unique women who has a very strong hymen. And she had the kind of hymen that had to be surgically pierced in order for her to no longer technically be a virgin anymore. And there was a lot of controversy surrounding that particular scene. And I find it very, very ironic that she didn't just do this scene with one guy. It was essentially a gangbang. It was 3 guys. And one of the guys is one of the porn stars that the porn industry is really trying to push into mainstream right now. A guy by the name of James Dean. If you're a young girl out there, I'm sure you've heard of him. He recently did a mainstream indie film with Lindsay Lohan, who also, unfortunately, is being pulled into the porn world, which I think is very unfortunate considering how talented she is. But what I find ironic about James Dean being involved with this particular deflowering of Nikki Blue video is that he also participated in a fictitious series called Christian Speed Dating, where supposedly they tricked some girls who were trying to meet Christian men into doing a gangbang. It's sick. The whole thing is sick. But, considering just a lot of the harm that I think kink has been doing to a lot of young people's just mindsets in regards to sex and what's right, what's moral, what's wrong, how things should be, what's realistic, what is not realistic. Sometimes things just have to come to a stop. So I hope So, second half of the show. Second half of the show. One thing I really want to talk about today is how serious acknowledging human trafficking and sex trafficking really is. Because it's slavery. It is slavery. Our country went through a civil war at one point in time to abolish slavery. And the ramifications of slavery on whatever group is enslaved, it reaches so deep, and then that the mindsets of the slavery and the side effects of it stick within the particular culture that the slavery started within, even to this day. I mean, still, we don't have equality in some areas in our country, in the United States, because of slavery. Throughout the world, African Americans are viewed a certain way, but the tide is turning. Which brings me to my controversial, thought-provoking discussion question for today. Let's all suspend reality for a moment, and let's go into the future, into the year 2028, okay? And if you follow my Twitter, you already know what I'm getting ready to say. Let's say in the year 2028, slavery suddenly went into full effect again within the United States of America. But let's say that in the year 2028, the slaves are not black. Instead, the slaves are the target group that the Los Angeles porn industry targets. White Americans. Yes. There's actually an article on Porn News Today that shows exactly what the target porn star look is, which is essentially a white American. Let's say in the year 2028, slavery not only went into full effect and that white Americans were the slaves, but let's say it was also legal, completely legal. But let's also take it a step further and say that the one drop rule applies. Now, for those of you who don't know what the one drop rule means, pre-Civil War times, not Civil War, well, yeah, it was Civil War. When slavery was going on in the United States, if you were multiracial, but let's say only your great-grandfather was black, you're still black. You're still technically black, and you could still legally be a slave. Let's say it's the opposite. Let's say in the year 2028, you're at a slave auction, you see a bunch of white people, and then bam, you see Halle Berry get on the auction block, and someone's auctioning her off. $100, $200, how much you want to pay for this girl? So that's the discussion question of the day. Now, really, the real question is, if you could own a white slave or someone who's just part white in the year 2028, would you? Would you do it? So let me go ahead and open up the Skype line. You can Skype in with your answer, because I'm curious. I want to know what other people think. Will you have to buy life insurance for the slaves? That's an interesting question. I don't know. I guess it would depend on what state you live in. Because with the way that the porn industry is going, the way that they're recruiting young people, considering who the target girl is, what the target look is for a porn star, I really don't think that we're any more, if events went a certain way, I don't think that we're any more than about a decade and a half from that kind of apocalyptic future. It would be apocalyptic for some, for others, maybe not. There's some people who would be like, yeah, I'd buy some slaves, what the hell? Just for revenge purposes. But then there's other people like myself who would always fight against slavery and who would essentially become abolitionists. So I think it's an interesting thing to think about. Okay, well, someone texted in the following. I'm just going to say what your first name is, Jordan. Jordan says, I know this isn't calling in, but if I could own a white slave at any time, I wouldn't. It would make me just as bad as it made them, and it's sickening. Anyways, that's my thought on this. Well, that's good. You're a good person. You're a good person, Jordan, and I appreciate you texting in your answer. That's good. That gives me hope. You know? That's good. You know, maybe I'm thinking that more people are worse than they are.
Yeah, what's up?
Okay.
Well, I was gonna say, if me owning a slave means that I could free or liberate them, could I do that?
Yeah, you could do that. You could do that.
Well then, yeah, I wouldn't. I'm against slavery, but I would do that for sure because I think everyone deserves equal rights.
All right, well, see, that's kind of how I was really thinking about this morning, and I was like, oh, do I even want to bring this up? Because it's controversial. But, okay, but yeah, because that's actually what happened at that point in time, sometimes, you know, when slavery was going on in the United States. So, okay, well, that's a good answer. That's an interesting answer.
Have a good day.
You too. Well, that was good. Thank you for calling in with your intelligent answer. So, Vicarious said that he would buy some slaves and then try to free them. That's interesting. That's interesting because that's, you know, like I said, if that happened, ID. If in the year 2028, if slavery went into full effect, but white people were slaves instead of black people, and the one-drop rule did apply. So, for example, you could essentially buy Halle Berry if you wanted to. Would you? Would you do that? Because the way I'm looking at what's happening with the porn industry, the way that they're shipping girls overseas with the prostitution and whatnot, the way they're selling the girls to just the general public through illegal prostitution, most of those girls are white girls. So slavery could only be a decade and a half away. Yes, okay. Hey again. Welcome back to Monica at Home.
I was to elaborate on what I said, I was gonna say, I don't think black people are gonna become slaves in 28.
Well, no, it won't be black people, it'll be white people.
Oh, well, yeah, white people will be slaves, yeah. Because by the year 28, there's gonna be more black people than white people.
Well, that's why I said the one-drop rule even applies, which, you know, I took it kind of far. But my whole point is that in the porn industry, the target group that they want to bring into porn are essentially white girls, late teens, early 20s, or multiracial girls, okay? But also on the gay side of porn, same thing for the guys, okay? Let's say, you know, considering that, you know, you got all these people saying, well, it's a contract, it is legal, you can do this. Let's say that something strange happens in the future to where it's not just sex slavery that becomes legal, but any kind of slavery. You can just go down to Slaves Are Us and pick out a slave, but all the slaves are white, and then if you're half white, you still legally could be a slave or enslaved, or even a quarter white. One drop rule. In my 2028, that applies.
That's a good point, but yeah. I don't know what to say about that.
I'm just having fun today. But it's something to think about. My point of bringing this up is because I want people to take the concept of sex trafficking more seriously. And when people think about, you know, oh, not just black people can be slaves, white people, they could be slaves, then people take it more seriously, you know. So, you know, if I get some money one day, I'll make a movie about it. Somebody already did make a movie about it, but I'll make another one.
Is sex trafficking even big in America, or isn't that like third world countries?
Well, that's what the porn industry is. It's essentially sex trafficking because the majority of porn stars, known porn stars, they're not just porn stars, they're prostitutes. And they have pimps. Some of the pimps want to call themselves agents or managers, but they're pimps. And these girls, they never make enough money to get away. To me, that's sex slavery. Some of them, they become so hooked on drugs that their self-esteem plummets so low. They have no other job skills. You know, their reputation is so tainted, they can't find another job or Their self-esteem is so low that they believe that they can't find another job. That's psychological slavery. It's sex slavery. It's just slavery.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.
It's a hard concept to wrap your mind around. You know, and some people will disagree with me. Some people will think, oh, well, that's not slavery, that's a choice. Slavery all starts with making a choice. It really does, you know, and you have to keep in mind also that when it comes to slavery, it's not necessarily anybody kidnapping you, sneaking into your home. That's not what happened in Africa. It was Africans selling other Africans, neighboring tribes selling other tribes. Slavery was already going on in Africa anyway, but you did have cases to where people sold their own. And that is what's happening in the United States right now. You know, it's not only black people going and recruiting girls into porn. It's not that you have like all these black porn agents or pimps. Most of them, there's not that many black people in porn, really. It's a bunch of white dudes, specifically Canadians, who are essentially selling their own, oftentimes to the United Arab Emirates. Think I'm wrong? Go to Porn News Today and look up that Howard Stern interview with Casey Jordan. She breaks it down. She's telling the truth too. Why do you think she's had such a hard time? But I want to thank all of you for joining me today. And I'm not back on a regular schedule with Monica at Home or Christian Pornstar or anything just yet. Eventually, maybe I will be, maybe not. Who knows what's going to happen. But I will try to do many more of these broadcasts this year because I just feel like they need to be done. So everyone have a wonderful Sunday and have a good week. Bye.